Hello, darlings. I am Cassandra George Sturgis. Welcome to my channel, Authentic Beauty Handmade Dolls and Crafts. In this video, I'm going to show you how to measure your sock mermaid doll for her mermaid tail and her bikini top. Thank you so much for watching. The first thing you're going to do is take your mermaid doll, place her on parchment paper. I like parchment paper because it's very flexible. And you're going to trace around your mermaid tail because now you're going to prepare to create a pattern for her mermaid tail. So this is it's pretty simple. So I traced around my mermaid doll, and now I am giving myself some space to sew the mermaid tail, and I think people call this the seam allowance, but yeah, you do need a little extra space. And this is a really nice stretchy fabric that I'm using, but you still need that little space for when you sew it. So after I trace around my doll and I make the seam allowance, I am going to go ahead and sew this. I'm going to go ahead and cut out this pattern, and I'm going to place it on my fabric, and then I am going to cut out the shape. And I made a mistake here in the video, and I titled it Josephine. I was still in the Josephine mode. I should have written Geraldine, because this is the Geraldine sock doll. So after I finish measuring the pattern for her mermaid tail, I'll go ahead and measure her bosom for her bikini top. So what I am doing is taking a piece of parchment paper, and like I said, I like it because it's really soft and flexible, and I am drawing a circle around the shape. And what I'm going to do is place a couple of triangles inside of the circle, and I'm going to sew those cut those triangles out of the pattern, and I'm going to sew the space together where the triangles once were. And this is how I personally make my bikini tops. I think I've said in a previous video that I was amazed at how they created a map for the planet, and it was as if they had taken an orange peel and flattened it, and that is the basis of how I make so many things. So as you can see, the bikini top for the mermaid sock doll, it looks a little bit like a mushroom. It has like a mushroom shape. And so what you're going to do is sew those little edges, those little spaces together. See how nice that fits? It fits perfectly. I love this fabric. I bought it from Joann's. I think it was fairly expensive, but I didn't pick the fabric picked me. I mean, I saw this and I knew this was the fabric for Geraldine. So now I am taking my mermaid tail pattern and I'm placing it on top, and I'm going to pin it to the fabric. Now this fabric it stretches in every direction, but it's a very tight stretch. Like sometimes things are very loose, but no, this is a very tight stretch, and I think they call it performance fabric, and it could have been as much as $20, but I only ordered about, I think maybe a quarter of a yard, if that. So now I'm going to simply cut out the pattern, and I'm going to sew around it, and I'm going to turn it inside out and try it onto Geraldine, my sock mermaid doll. In the beginning of this video, I showed some pictures of when I was first creating Geraldine, and it was kind of touching for me. Like, she really started out as a sock. You know, one of my favorite words in the entire world is the word before. I know that word may sound really simple to a lot of people. Like, how could the word before be one of your favorite words? Like, well, before is one of my favorite words, and my other favorite word is magic, and I can't, you know, they're like both number one with me. And the reason I like the word before because when someone says before, doesn't it already tell you a story? Before, when Geraldine was literally a pair of socks in the, I think, in the shoe store. I bought her from the DSW shoe store. She was simply a pair of socks. And when I drew the pattern onto her, and when I first began to sculpt her nose, and I had no idea of what she was going to look like, or even if this was going to work. And so it was before. I like the word before the world began, before the beginning of time. I know that sounds crazy. Before, I remember, I like to say, before I developed into a woman, before my hair turned gray, before I had my children. You know, if you can go on and on, it could be good things, it could be bad things, it could be, oh my God, it could just be anything. But the word before to me is so rich. So I wanted to show you some pictures of Geraldine before we knew her name, before we knew anything about what she would look like. So now I am preparing her bikini top, and I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to sew in the area where the triangles are together, and then I'm going to sew those two pieces together, and we're going to create her bikini top. So this is what it looks like. I have sewn the little triangle areas together. You see? Oh my God, I love that. And then I actually sewed around the edges of those little circles as well, little, you know, bikini top cups as well, so that it would have a nice polished look. And then you see, I just literally just sewed those two little space together. I took the little seam allowance and I just sewed it together, and then I hand stitched a piece of elastic ruffle around the top portion just to make it look a little bit more polished. And then I am going to take some tulle in another video, twist it together, and I'm going to hand stitch that to the bottom as well to make it look a little bit more polished. But I think this looked very nice. So now I am going to turn her mermaid tail inside out, and you see how it's just a really firm stretch. And I am going to put on her mermaid tail like a pair of pantyhose. Now, I know some people, you know, they like to move really fast, but really you need to put it on gently like a pair of pantyhose, so that you don't stretch it out of proportion. Now, I know most people would have simply created the mermaid tail and stuffed it without placing the mermaid tail on a doll with the mermaid tail. And I do understand that school of thought, but I prefer to give the doll a complete body and then, you know, make her mermaid tail separately. And for some of my other mermaid dolls, I can change their outfits. Like, they literally have different bikini tops and mermaid tails. And for my photo shoots, I like to switch things around And I don't know, I don't know why, guys, but I do know a lot of people would have simply just stuffed that mermaid tail, and that would have looked perfectly fine, especially if you're not going to change the bottom. So that would be a lot easier, but it's just a personal preference. In the next video, we're going to go over how to make the dorsal fins, the mermaid tail, out of tulle, and how to put the trimming around her bikini top. I'll call this the ooh la la, to, you know, jazz it up and make her look special and fun. I know there's a doll inside of you who is just dying to come to life, but only you can breathe life into her. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.